selling books on eBay is tough, but there's a few classic authors that you should always keep your eyes open for because they sell. They sell regularly, they sell fast, they sell hard, they sell for good money. So we're going to run through today's orders, and there's a few classics mixed in there and maybe a couple extra at the end just to share with you, to show you what you can look out for and what you can find fairly regularly to make a profit selling books on eBay. Right, first up, not a classic, but it is a good seller, and that is Bridgerton books. As ever, get them in good condition and they will sell. I've sold a whole stack of these, and this one went for £8.37 for a paperback. Not bad. Quite often they'll sell in bundles, but often enough they sell on their own. So it's £4.38 plus postage. We're doing £3.99 postage at the moment for 24-hour track service, so it's even more expensive than usual just to make sure they get there before Christmas. But £8.37. If you see the Bridgerton books by Julia Quinn, pick them up. They do sell for good money. Next, let's find out what this one went for. Right, got a couple of loads of these out today. I've mentioned them many times before. Julia Donaldson. This is 2 little board books in a nice sleeve, and this sold for £7.99. So 50p paid because it's 2 books, turning into £8. That's including postage, so it's not a huge profit. But when you see Julia Donaldson in half decent condition, buy them, buy them, buy them, because they really do sell well throughout the year. They're going even better at the moment because it's Christmas, but they really do sell all the time. So when you see Julia Donaldson, pick them up. Next, kind of a bread and butter author, Jenny Colgan. Always popular, again, sell fairly consistently throughout the year, but not for an awful lot of money. So this was £6.64, which is pretty good for a single book. Paperback, as always, can't say this often enough, good condition. Pick them up when they're in good condition. There's a few exceptions to that rule, which we'll maybe talk about in a wee while, but for the most part, good condition paperbacks by popular authors, they will sell. If you've got the space, stack them high. Anyway, £6.64 for that Jenny Colgan paperback. Next, right, this is a classic author who, when you see them, pick them up, and not always in the best condition. Now, what this lot is an Ian Fleming Penguin James Bond box set. So there are 10 books in there. Diamonds Are Forever, Russia with Love, Majesty's Secret Service, Moonraker, Living Like Die, Casino Royale, Thunderball, Goldfinger, You Only Live Twice, and Dr. No. This sold for £35.65, so that was £32 plus postage when it went out. If you see Ian Fleming books, the James Bond books, whether it's paperbacks, omnibus editions, whatever it might be, pick them up. I did find a few months ago a first edition copy of Goldfinger. I didn't realise the value of it at the time. Did a very quick look up in the research. It sold for £95 inside 2 minutes of listing. If I'd taken my time and done a lot more research and been able to check exactly, was it an original dust jacket, not a facsimile copy, checked that it was, I think it was a first edition second print, checked through all of these, it could have been worth anything up to £600, but I made a boo-boo on that one. So Ian Fleming, if you see Ian Fleming books and they're in any kind of condition for the older hardcovers or more recent paperbacks in good condition or better, pick them up. They sell for good money every single time. Admittedly, when you break that down, that 10 book box set sold for like £3.50 each, but it cost me a couple of quid. Selling it on as the box set, well worth doing that to make £32 back. Right, next is more of Ms. Donaldson. So as I said previously, Julia Donaldson sells 3 paperback books, Tabby McTatt, Charlie Cook's favourite book, and Monkey Puzzle, all in good condition. I think I probably paid like 10 pence each for these, and the 3 of them sold for £9.69. So anywhere between 30 and 50p up to nearly £10. That's a cracking sale through, and they do sell regularly, so when you see them, pick them up and they will fly out for you as long as you price them right and get them in good condition. Always good condition. Right, next. Now, we sold 3 of these yesterday and another 2 today, but different editions. Hunger Games. Now, I've only got, is it Mockingjay and Catching Fire? I don't have Hunger Games in that particular edition, but these 2 still sold. Usually, when you've got 3 of them, that's when they sell, but £8.76 for those 2 books. Again, it's a good sale. If you've got the space, pick up all Suzanne Collins books. If you haven't got the space, pick up the editions that aren't these, because other ones do sell better. Although, I'm not saying these don't sell, but other ones do sell a little bit quicker. Put them in the pile to post. Right, next is a bread and butter author. Leslie Pierce, popular, a bit like Jenny Colgan, not the same kind of books obviously, but they sell. So Leslie Pierce, good condition paperbacks, £12.84 for 5 books. So obviously postage has to come off of that, eBay fees have to come off of that, but you make a couple of quid selling 5 books. So if you can pick them up for, you know, those 5 will cost me about £1.25. So if you can get that kind of deal, well worth picking up. They will sell. If you've got space, it's one of the authors you should stack high. They do go reasonably well, and they're pretty easy to find. You'll see them often enough, usually 2 or 3 at a time, so start picking them up, and after a while you'll have a big bundle and people will start buying them. Right, next. So this next one is sold for good money. Well, good money for a paperback book. I had never heard of it, but when something looks a little bit different, that's where I'll pick it up, and maybe a third of the time it's actually worth more than I would have expected. It is Pachinko, I think that's how you pronounce it, by Minjin Lee. So never judge a book by its cover unless you want to sell it, in which case if it's got a cover that grabs your attention and goes, that looks interesting, somebody else will think the same thing, so it's worth picking it up. So I grabbed this a few weeks ago. Seems to be set in Korea, Yeongdo, Korea, 1911. A club-footed, cleft-lipped man marries a 15-year-old girl. The couple have 1 child, their beloved daughter, Sunya. When Sunya falls pregnant by a married yakuza, the family face ruin, but then a Christian minister offers a chance of salvation and new life in Japan as his wife. There you go. So, something a bit different. It looked nice, so it looks nice in a listing, and that's sold really well. £12.62 for that paperback book when the cover price is only £8.99. So there you go. Definitely one to look out for if you see it. Next is another decent value little book. So I'm always talking about, if you see classics, I mean there's some classic authors which we'll get to in a minute, but classics, so A Man for All Seasons. So a play of Sir Thomas More, and this is by Robert Bolt. So it is the play. I'm assuming it's an adaptation by Robert Bolt. When was this published? 1969. So although it looks quite new and shiny, it's actually from 1969, so it's in really good condition. It's got a wee bit of mottling on the top edge, but other than that it's in good nick, and that's sold for £11.99. So classics, if you see them, pick them up. They might only be worth £3 or £4, but you occasionally get one that's worth a bit more, and that makes it all the worthwhile, you know what I mean. Right, classic authors. This is definitely a classic author that if you see them, pick them up. Every single time, pick them up. Unless they are literally falling apart, pick them up. In this case, it is a big one. It's Terry Pratchett's The Last Hero. So it's an illustrated book Lots of lovely pictures. First edition, good condition. This sold for $8.99, so not the most valuable Terry Pratchett book, but when you're thinking of Terry Pratchett, well, a lot of people, when they're thinking of Terry Pratchett, probably would think back to the 80s and the wee paperbacks, The Colour of Magic, Reaper Man. He wrote so many books and they're all absolutely brilliant. But if you can get the original kind of 80s, early 90s paperbacks, Witches Abroad, Mort, oh, they're all in there. If you find them, they can sell for £20 to £30 each in good condition. Even in poor condition, you can still get up to a tenner for them regularly. Now, you won't find them that often, but if you do see them, any Terry Pratchett book, pick it up, get it listed, and it will sell. Terry Pratchett always sells. Might sit for a few weeks, but if you're looking for that kind of 90-day turnaround, more often than not you'll get that with Terry Pratchett books, and you'll get a reasonable return on them. So if you see one of those old paperbacks, check the dates. If it's like a first edition paperback and somebody's looking for a fiver for it, buy it, because you can get £30-40. If it's not a first edition and somebody's looking for a quid for it, buy it, because you could get a tenner plus. So they're worth paying a wee bit more for when you see them, but a lot of places just have them bundled in with everything else. Grab them, buy them, sell them, make some money on Terry Pratchett books. So I will always pick up Terry Pratchett. Right, another of the classics, well, classic author in the context that I'm talking about them today, but a classic, and that's Papillon by Henri Charrière. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Most of you have probably seen or heard of the Dustin Hoffman movie that was made out of this. And it's about a wee guy that escapes from a prison, the butterfly, Papillon. Really good condition. This is the Ted Smart edition. I had this listed. It's not an expensive book. I had it listed for about £2.85. Somebody made me an offer of £2, so I just took it. Get things moving, get them going. I'll still make a few pence in that. I'll have paid 25p for it, so I'll have probably trebled my money on that one. Ain't making you rich, but these type of books, they do move in good condition. Buy them, buy them, buy them. Stack them up, sell them. Right. Next, okay, this one's a bit interesting. Now, I found a stack of these a wee while back, and they were, what's the word I'm looking for? Old, vintage editions of Disney early readers. And I listed them up individually, and after a few weeks, nearly all of them have sold. People been making their own bundles out of them. But I found a stack of modern ones, 31 in total, so anything from Winnie the Pooh, Finding Nemo, a bit of Mickey Mouse, Moana, Brave, Scrooge McDuck, Big Hero 6, you get the idea. I had 31 of them. I paid pennies, absolute pennies for these, so I decided just to put them in one bundle, because it's the time of year, because it is this time of year, and see if somebody would take the bite and buy them there. So that bundle of 31 books, which maybe cost me as much as a fiver, probably less, sold for £35.99. Now, it's a heavy load, so it's going to be £5-6 to post it, but that still leaves me 30 quid. Even after eBay's taking their fees, I'm going to get 20 notes out of it. So that turned into a good buy. Would I buy them again? If I've got space, yes. I'll buy them, stack them up, and just let them run, and it might take until this time next year for them to sell again, but for me they're worthwhile. If you ain't got a lot of space, then maybe not, unless you're able to stick them in a box and wait until you get kind of next November, get them listed up then as a bundle, and you might get a good sale out of them. But yeah, £35.99 sale for that lot, so quite happy with that. Right, next, another classic author. Some of these sell for silly money, but for the most part they're just good money. Cormac McCarthy. So this is All the Pretty Horses. I've had this particular edition a few times and it always sells pretty damn quickly. I've probably had this for a week or two. £10.99 for that paperback. Cormac McCarthy passed away recently. One of the best authors ever. These books are absolutely terrifying. They're not horrors, they're westerns mostly, modern westerns, but oh, this is an amazing book. The Road, you might have seen the movie for this one, I think it was Matt Damon that was in it. No Country for Old Men, Blood Meridian. There's quite a few in the list. If you get kind of original copies of the paperbacks or the hardcovers, even better, then they do sell for good money. So let's say £7 for that paperback, plus in this case £3.99 postage, so £10.99 all in for that one. If you've not read Cormac McCarthy, you really should. Everyone should read one Cormac McCarthy book. The Road is possibly one of the best books ever written. I've read it a few years ago and I'll never read it again. It absolutely destroyed me. But what a book. And this one's the same. You finish it and stare at the wall for 5 hours. It's just, they're phenomenal. So if you see Cormac McCarthy, any Cormac McCarthy, pick them up. Modern editions, the movie tie-in versions of Likes of the Road and No Country for Old Men, they sell for a few quid, nothing spectacular, but if you can get the more original paperbacks or hardcovers, then they sell for good money and they sell pretty quickly. So yeah, Cormac McCarthy, if you see it, pick it up. I mean, that one's in really good condition. I should have kept it, but I didn't. Right, next, Ian McEwan. Doesn't sell often, doesn't sell fast. I see these still quite often and I don't pick them up because they just take up space and they really don't sell very well, so I tend not to. If it's a nice condition hardcover like this one, so that's Saturday by Ian McEwan, I might still pick it up, but it'll depend what kind of mood I'm in on the day, and that's sold for £2.85 plus postage, so £6.84 all in. So I'm going to make 50p to a pound on that one. Sold via promoted listings, so closer to 50p. But if you've got space, it is an author who will sell. But I think I've had this for like 5 months, and that's it, just gone. So when you look at it that way, if I was paying for that listing every month, that'd be 5 times 60, so that's 30p gone just on listing fees for that one. So that means I only got £2.55 for it. You'd be taking their third of the £6.84, so that's another couple of quid gone. So really only making pennies on that one. So only if you've got the space, pick up Ian McEwan would be my suggestion. He does not sell fast for me at all. Right, more bread and butter. Mentioned these yesterday. Beast Quest, 2 of them going out. If you can pick these up cheap, yeah, grab them. I sell them for like £1.99 each plus postage, so they really don't go for a huge amount of money at all, but they do sell. If you see them in stacks, pick them up. Always looking for the collector's cards if it's that type of edition. I think these are collector card editions. No, but yeah, if you see them, pick up Beast Quest by Adam Blade. Add them to a pile somewhere, get them listed up in a big job lot, let people choose which ones they want, and they do sell. That's a repeat buyer for that one there as well, so that means they've bought something in the last 30 days. Right, more bread and butter, only a couple more to go. Danielle Steele, again, I don't sell Danielle Steele hardcovers very often, but they do sell. And again, if you've got space, when you see them, you'll see a lot of them, just stack them up and wait, and you will get a sale out of it. So that was £8 for those 2 books, plus postage, and then a 10% discount. So because they bought only 2 books, they get 10% off. So 8 less 80p, £7.20, plus at the moment £4 postage because they're going out 24-hour tracked. So £11.19 for those 2 books. So that's quite good. Paperbacks sell more often, not for as good money, but Danielle Steele, she's massive. She's got a huge fan base, written so many books that people who have some and are a fan will buy more regardless of when she wrote them. Right, last sale is Holes by Louise Sachar. Another one. I picked this up because it's in really good condition. Wouldn't normally bother because it's not something that sells often or fast, but and it's down to space. If you've got loads of room, it's a nice book to pick up. If you're limited in space, I probably wouldn't bother because because it could sit around for a year. You just don't know. But that went for £6.84, so £2.85 plus postage. Cover price is £7.99, so somebody's saving £1 with buying it from me, and it is, you know, the golden rule: good condition books. That's what we'll sell, and we'll keep your customers happy when they go. So that's everything that's going out today. I say a few classics in there that you should always keep your eyes open for. Cormac McCarthy. So No Country for Old Men, The Road, All the Pretty Horses, Blood Meridian, and more. We've got Terry Pratchett, especially the old Terry Pratchett paperbacks, first edition hardcovers. Of course, if you find a signed Terry Pratchett, you're talking hundreds. All classics that people buy all the time. So pick them up whenever you see them. Ian Fleming, that's the other one. So James Bond books, when you see them, pick them up. Some of the more modern paperbacks are only worth £2 or £3, but they can be worth substantially more depending on the edition. And it's one of these authors who, you know, he stopped writing way back when, maybe 50 years ago. So there's a lot of different editions of his books out there. So you just never know until you do the research on that particular edition whether or not it's going to be a banger or whether or not it's just going to be bread and butter. But the good thing is they tend to sell quite quickly regardless. The last author I just wanted to talk about was Terry Pratchett that got me thinking about these, and that is Stephen King. So everyone should know that if you see a Stephen King book, pick it up because it will sell. It might take a couple of months, but it will sell. But with Stephen King, the ones you really want to be looking out for, other than the obvious first edition hardcovers, which you do find, sell for good money, the 80s, early 90s paperbacks, so the original runs of those, Pet Sematary, It, Misery. He wrote a lot of books, you know, even going back to Carrie, Salem's Lot, Cujo. If you find any first edition paperbacks, they're not first editions because they're paperbacks as such, but ones with the original cover art, which this isn't. This is when's this from? This is the 13th impression from 1987. So the first edition came out in 77. The paperback edition came out in 78. The new paperback edition came out in 1980, and this is the 13th impression of that. So it's not back at the original one, still a few quid, but if you get first edition paperbacks with the original cover art, then you can be looking at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, depending on the condition of those books. If you find a mint condition original It, 40 quid, no brainer. So look for those ones as you go. So anyway, Stephen King, that's our little extra treat. This one hasn't sold, I just had it sitting on the shelf. Terry Pratchett got me thinking about 80s and 90s paperbacks, and that's something to look out for. Stephen King's 70s, 80s, early 90s paperbacks sell really, really well. But any Stephen King book, if you see it and it's the right price, pick it up because it will sell. Again, if you can find a signed one and get lucky with that, money. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. Hope maybe I've shared something useful with you, something that you can use going forward. But that's us for today. So see ya, love you, bye.